So what else you got shaking, Carl?
Nothing. I live in Liberty City now. I'm clean. Legit.
Nah, you ain't never been clean, Carl.
Well, what do we got here?
This is a weapon, Officer Pulaski, that was used to gun down a police officer not 10 minutes ago. Officer Pendlebury. A fine man, I might add. You work fast, nigga.
You know I just got off the plane.
Well, that's a good thing we found you and retrieved the murder weapon.
That ain't my gun.
Don't bullshit me, Carl.
Yeah, don't bullshit him, Carl.
What the fuck you want from me this time?
When we want you, we'll find you. In the meantime, try not to gun down any more officers of the law.
Y'all can't leave me here. This baller's country.
I thought you said you was innocent, Carl. But you don't bang.
This is car 58.
See you around like a donut,
What?
Carl.
Officer Pendlebury's down. We'll be right over.
See ya now.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
And welcome to episode 71 of the Video Game Podcast, PlayStation Pals. Before we get started, I wanted to mention that we have a bonus episode in the feed for you to check out if you have played, completed, and want to hear more about Spider-Man 2. Well, we got a bonus episode for you, so that is in the feed now. It was released last week, so if you want to hear it, we recommend you checking it out. But other than that, this is a normal video game podcast show. I'm your host, Nick, and I'm joined by the Diddy Kong to my Donkey Kong, John. Now, John, we had a big anniversary over the weekend. PlayStation 5 turned what?
Didn't it turn 10? Oh, PlayStation 5. Sorry, PlayStation 4 turned 10. I thought that's where you're going.
Oh.
Sorry for jumping the gun.
No, PlayStation 5. We only talk about current consoles here, right?
Just
Turned 3 years old. Its birthday was November 12th. That is also the third anniversary of Astro's Playroom and Spider-Man Miles Morales. I don't know if you had any thoughts about this console we love so much.
Yeah, Astro's Playroom is so good. If you haven't played it, sorry, I can't say it with a straight face. That's what everybody loves to say about that game. You know, make sure you don't miss it. No, 3 years in, you know, it seems really quick.
Yeah.
You know, I feels like it was just yesterday we were talking about all the new cool things it's going to be doing, but I think what I would just say is that it feels good that we're finally getting into a good swing of things with next-gen stuff, right?
Yes.
No, pardon the pun, you know, but Spider-Man was kind of one of those moments where the quick loading especially really showed me that, like, oh, fuck, like, this is what it means to be playing on this machine, and, you know, we're getting bangers still from Sony first party, and I really, personally, probably couldn't be happier with it. It's pretty great.
Yes, I mean, the platform and video games as a whole had a great year. And again, as you mentioned, that the more current-gen titles will be released now. You know, Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2 were amazing because of that. So
yeah, the crossover period was... I understand why it was so long, COVID and all that good stuff, but it's nice to be getting out of that. I can't believe still that Ragnarok didn't make that cut and that was
right.
cross. But what are you going to do?
Well, maybe its half sequel will be PS5 only. We'll find out.
Better. But maybe not.
So we really do need to get into the show because there is a lot of news. Last week was insane with news after the show got published last week. So we got to get into it. So this is how the show works. John and I both bring up to 6 things to talk about. It can be a news item, a video game we're playing, an email, the PlayStationPalsPod@gmail.com, a Twitter DM at PSPalsPod, or a comment on our YouTube channel at PlayStation Pals. Any of those things, we want to talk about it, and we want to bring it, and we have 5 things for you today, so buckle up. All right, the first thing we're going to talk about is we got some Grand Theft Auto 6 news.
What's that?
So, on November 7th, Jason Schreier of Bloomberg News broke that Rockstar plans to announce Grand Theft Auto 6 as early as this week, with a trailer debuting in December. Not less than 12 hours that he said that, Rockstar confirmed it, the same sentiment. They tweeted out, "We are very excited to let you know that in early December, we will release the first trailer for the next Grand Theft Auto We look forward to many more years of sharing these experiences with all of you. Thank you, Sam Hauser. John, we're a month away from seeing arguably the biggest video game of all time.
I mean, the follow-up to... I mean, yeah, Minecraft has sold the most, but I would argue that Grand Theft Auto 5 is probably the biggest video game of all time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, until they announced Minecraft 2, this is probably the most hyped sequel to any video game on the planet.
I've never felt the hype, and I'm not even personally hyped for it like I have with this game. You know, whether it's people at work, you know, my friends that I talk to, I don't even really consider video game people, or whatever the case. You know, there is a definite something in the air with people just looking for any information. What's this game going to look like? Where's the locations? Who are the characters? And we know a little bit of that stuff, right? That there's dual characters, like that's been confirmed. One of them being
the leaks had two characters.
Sure. I believe those at this point, but yeah, I mean it's that when that trailer drops, whether it's on the Game Awards or not, I personally don't think it will be, but it's possible. I think the internet shuts down for a bit. It's going to break, and. Yeah, I'm curious to see what Rockstar's rollout is going to be with this game. Like, do you go into all the systems, or do you just kind of be like, yeah, it's fucking Grand Theft Auto 6, just go? And because they could release this game tomorrow and it's going to sell 1 billion copies. Yep. So, you know, I know there's lots of people out there excited for it. I'm honestly curious what your take on it is more than mine.
Yeah, so December is big for two reasons. One, did Jeff Keighley do it? Did he secure the white whale of video game announcements for the Game Awards, which we'll get into later? Or is it because Rockstar Games is celebrating its 25th anniversary? You know, they were founded in December of 1988, so that is also, they could also do their own event. It's Grand Theft Auto 6. It can do whatever the fuck it wants, but if I was Jeff Keighley, I'm hoping that whatever happens, the announcement is after December 7th, because December 7th, if Grand Theft Auto 6 isn't announced, there will be so many people watching this.
At that point, it doesn't matter if it's there or not. There's going to be people there either expecting it. It's going to be fever pitch of just forums and comment threads all over the place of is it going to be there or not, and tune in to find out. So yeah, for his sake, I definitely would agree with you that post Game Awards is crucial for him if it's not there.
Yeah, and then to your point is the what to expect is like is this going to be a current gen only game? I assume it is.
Yeah. I think if you're going to push the boundaries like they've kind of said, right, the jump between Grand Theft Auto 5 and Red Dead 2 wasn't as big as this jump's going to be from Red Dead 2 to, like, do you know how good Red Dead 2 looks like?
Exactly.
It has to be, I would think, next gen to, you know, and with the size of the maps, and you need quick loading, you need all that stuff.
So and then how much are they willing to show? You know, they've been famous for doing very simple trailers, showing off environments, showing off the world, not really touching the story at all. You might get a character voiceover. Will they show more than that, and will they touch on the release date at all? Will they just say 2024, which is what I'm assuming is going to happen? I don't think they'll have especially if it's the second half of next year, which I assume that they'll just say 2024. But you know, getting that first glimpse of just anything of this game is going to be something crazy.
Yeah, it's a hard one to predict and talk about because, like you said, they get to operate on their own set of rules. They don't have to follow traditional rules, typical PR lead-in times, things like that. They can do what they want, and so I do think they'll keep it light. I agree with the year statement. They'll just come out, put a year on it, because what benefit does it give to them if they put a date? Like, they don't need to do that. I would imagine that when we do find the date, it'll probably be like 2 months from release, or maybe 3, something like that. But it's exciting, man. I mean, this Grand Theft Auto 5 has sold, I think they just passed 200 million something. Or no, Minecraft just passed 300 million. I think Grand Theft Auto 5 is at like 180, which is just... You know, I would imagine people listening to the show kind of understand how big that number is, but just to put it like Mario Kart 8, right? The biggest game on Switch, right? Nintendo Switch, one of the biggest consoles ever, dominates every child's living room. That game's at somewhere around like 60 million.
Yep.
So like it's bananas. And if you look at a chart of Grand Theft Auto 5, it doesn't dip. It's just a straight line up, like ever since it was released. So this game is going to be absolutely massive. I wouldn't be surprised to see... if there are games that have release dates around when this is going to drop, those games will move. There's just no reason to release your game around when this game's going to do it.
Sure.
It's the only thing that's going to, outsell Call of Duty and stuff, and I think it'll do it easily. So, yeah.
Yeah. We'll definitely talk about it here when it finally releases. But yeah, to know that it's coming. I saw some discourse on the internet that people were mad at Jason Schreier for spoiling the reveal, but every other video on the internet is talking about Grand Theft Auto leaks. I mean, we went through a whole month where every day a Grand Theft Auto trailer was supposed to come out. So,
hey, Nick, what's Jason Schreier's job?
He's a journalist.
Oh,
yeah, he's not a marketer. He's not here to
okay.
market their game. So,
sure.
He's doing what he's supposed to do. So,
do you think that this game will hold up on a narrative and writing level that the previous ones have? I know it's before we even see anything about it, but for those who don't know, without Dan Houser there, it's a big change. So,
yes, I think so. I think people need to brace though that it's been 10 years since Grand Theft Auto 5. Mm-hmm. The world has changed. What's funny then is not funny now, and so I think hopefully be like what South Park does is like they tread that fine line of making fun of everything,
and they've kind of been grandfathered in, but like at the same time you can't push it quite as far,
right?
So I think that's a fair
take.
So
so I would set your expectations there, but I do think again, this is a games whose budget is infinite. The best people are working on this. It's probably the biggest amount of developers are working on this. It'll just be great for all those facts. And
you put 1,000 people together, you're going to get some good ideas.
Yeah. And the ground is laid. The Grand Theft Auto formula works. It's incredibly successful. You just iterate on it, and it's going to be great. So I think that'll all come together. But I don't think it'll be out there anyway, like how woke GTA 6 is. But I think it's just people just not contemplating that it's been 10 years. We have changed as a people, and what's funny as a people is different now. But
yeah, so we'll see. I'm curious. A lot of questions, right? Does it have online mode, or what does Grand Theft Auto Online do? Lots of questions to be answered. But like I said, within a month, because we'll probably get the trailer, maybe even like a little blog post that starts to detail things out. So we'll see.
Yeah, but if you thought that was the craziest news of the week last week. This one is even crazier. So go for it, John.
Yeah, so there's kind of this white whale in, I feel like, the video game world in terms of translating it to a TV or movie property. And by God, they're going to try. So off the heels of the multi-billion-dollar footsteps of Mario, Nintendo's making the next logical leap with an IP to try and translate to the big screen, and that is, of course, The Legend of Zelda.
And it's going to be animated, right?
Yeah, one might think, but no, Nick, no. They're going for it. They're trying to do, it's the latest hotness, right? We're seeing lots of live action remakes from different animated properties, whether it's in the anime front with Avatar or One Piece, things like that. But they're gonna give it a shot with live action, and so. Yeah, we don't have a lot of information at this point. It was kind of just a general confirmation that it is happening. It's supposed to be directed by Wes Ball, who is from the Maze Runner trilogy, which I've never seen. But they're kind of, I think, your middling action type of movies. But he's also doing the upcoming Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes movie. So yeah, lots of questions. We're finally going to get some lines from probably the most famous silent protagonist of all time with Link.
You have to.
But first question for you, Nick. I got a couple questions.
Okay.
What's the story? What are they going to do with the story? Because, this is a famous franchise where there is multiple timelines, child Link, adult Link. What do you think they're going to do?
So, again, my knowledge is up through Twilight Princess. That is where my Zelda knowledge ends. It's got to be set in Hyrule.
Yes.
And I think if they do this correctly, the Hero of Time story from Ocarina of Time seems to be the most logical to me, and could make such a cool movie. I just done watching Loki season 2, which has a lot to do with time. Edge of Tomorrow is one of my favorite movies that have to deal with time and resetting.
Sure.
If you can tap into that, and I mean the casting has to be phenomenal. I think you can have a great movie, but I think that's the most coherent story to me.
Yeah,
out of
I
all of
mean,
them.
coherent, and also I would argue largest. Ocarina of Time is one of the most famous games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, I think that would make sense as well. And remember, when these studios are planning these movies, they're not just planning for one; they're planning for sequels too. And so it would make sense that if you're going to start a story, you start with young Link, right? Or you at least have a part of it that goes into that, and then if you wanted to expand on the story towards the end of it, then you can save that for the sequels. Because I did kind of list out a couple that I think are possible. I agree with you. I think that the Hero of Time story is what they'll go with.
Yep.
You also have, what's hot right now, Breath of the Wild style. That's probably the
Breath of the Wild
Breath of the Wild style. That's probably, your second best bet. Talk about some amnesia and all that stuff, and Link's been gone, and you try and fill in some gaps. And then 3 other choices, but I don't think there'll be. You could do darker themed like Twilight Princess, lighter themed like Wind Waker, or like a beginning of the entire story like Skyward Sword. But I don't think we'll get any of that. But I'm glad you asked about the cast, Nick. So I went through and I kind of both from my brain as well as what the people are saying on the internet. And I'm just going to read off some names, and I just kind of want to hear you say if that's a good idea or a bad idea. Okay. So we're
just saying Link in general, not
right now Zelda. We're gonna start with Zelda.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh boy.
I got Zelda, Ganondorf, and Link.
Okay. I might not know every actor you say here.
Well, you don't have to even give me a thumbs up if you don't want to. So first name that popped in my head, Anya Taylor-Joy. I know she's already Peach, but like it's an obvious thing. Do you think that she has a chance?
Yeah, of course she has a chance. I think she's very successful. She fits the part like visually. Like I don't think it would take much, prosthetics and makeup to look like Zelda. That would be an obvious choice. Again, if they want to tap into her again.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is it'd be weird.
And she did do what's that Viking movie?
The Northman.
The Northman, yeah, so she's done fantasy movies before.
Oh yeah, she's one of those like weirdly good actresses, like kind of like Margot Robbie, where you think she's just a pretty face and you go, oh my shit, oh you could act.
So again, and I think if they were going to go the younger route, I think she's one of the. I don't remember how old she is. She's probably not.
She's a little older.
But I think like she could portray a younger Princess Zelda.
Yeah.
She might work.
Another one, Florence Pugh. She's a girl.
Love Florence Pugh from the Marvel MCU. She's wonderful. Too old.
Too old?
And needs to be Abby anyway.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know how to say her name, but Saoirse Ronan from Lady Bird. She's the girl who plays Lady Bird. She's kind of a younger, really well-accomplished actress. I could see her maybe.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Maybe getting a shot. And then here's one that I thought I thought of, and I initially go, that's fucking dumb, but it kind of I could see it maybe. What about Taylor Swift?
No. You
don't think so? You don't think that it's like you're gonna get all the Swifties immediately into the seats? I was like, oh man, I don't know if
they were crazy enough to make this like a musical.
And Travis Kelce as Link.
Yeah. If they were crazy enough to make this a musical, then I still don't think so. I mean, music is intrinsic to Zelda, so like I wouldn't say a musical is out of left field, but it would be very weird.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know. I mean, she looks like it, whatever. She's the hottest thing in the world right now, but. And then I want everybody to go out and look at, there's one that I saw, her name is Hunter Schafer. This is more of a low-profile actress, but I've never seen a more spitting image of Zelda. And she's from Euphoria and things like that. But, okay, those are kind of some of the Zelda choices. Now for Link, I think I'm just going to throw it out there, Tom Holland. Everybody's fucking knows Tom Holland. He's like the boy. So he's a possibility, as always, but I feel like he's too recognizable at this point. He's too much into Spider-Man. He's too much... he's already Nathan Drake. Do you really need to get him more involved? Timothy Chalamet is another one. Yeah. Kind of feel the same way.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be very excited. Now, and here's a one that I think makes a lot of sense. Anybody who's familiar with Game of Thrones will know this guy, but he was a smaller character, and I can't even remember his name. But he was one of the brothers and sisters that was walking around with Bran in the North. His name is Thomas Brody Sangster.
What has he done other than that, though?
He's done the Maze Runner movies.
Oh.
With the same director guy. So I'm like, well, and he looks just like Link. So I think he might be able to be a shot. And then for Ganondorf, I don't know. I picture an intimidating, deep-voiced man. Javier Bardem, Idris Elba, Mark Strong, and Charles Dance were 4 names that came to mind. Charles Dance from Game of Thrones. Mark Strong is the deep-voiced always bad guy looking dude. He's from Kingsman.
Yeah.
Idris and Javier, I don't think need any introductions, but I don't know. There's going to be a lot to discuss, a lot to, kind of read forums and things like that, because one thing's for sure, this movie could be great and it's still going to make a lot of people mad.
Yeah.
But
And let's be honest, it's very, very early on. I think this is
for sure.
it was on an earnings report for Nintendo, and then Miyamoto took to Twitter using Nintendo's official Twitter account to kind of explain a little bit more about it. But, other than those names, we really don't have much. But, now's the time, like you mentioned, like they're making Avatar into a live action show. They're making One Piece into a live action show, which I would argue are much harder properties to adapt. Link is just like high fantasy. We've had high fantasy before, so I think it's time for a Legend of Zelda movie. I like
give it a shot.
Yeah, like
Give
a
it
lot
a
of people's
shot.
sentiment.
It's
Like
gonna make
animated
money.
probably would have been more exciting, but I don't know. This could be exciting too. It's this. Yeah, and just Link talking, please.
Yeah, I mean, I think
biggest complaint.
Hyrule is going to look gorgeous. I have no problems with that. I am curious how they write Link. Do they write him as, kind of more just like confident and stoic? Do they write him as silly and goofy? Do they write him as a fucking dummy? Who knows? But I don't know how you write him.
Probably a little bit of both.
Little all of
A
it.
little bit of both. Because, again, in the Hero of Time story is so bizarre because you're Kid Link and then you become Adult Link. But is it an Adult Link with all the memories of Kid Link and he's an adult? Or is it Kid Link in the body of Adult Link? Because he never talks. I don't really know what the story is there.
Only he knows. Only
So,
he knows.
but yeah, I think it's going to be wonderful, and the music, of course, will be
Music's gonna be awesome. Yeah.
something else. At least it's going to have one of the best soundtracks ever. So I think there's a lot of good things going for it, and the art directions there. Yeah, it'll come down to casting and just a good story. Which I think the Super Mario Brothers movie. The worst part of it was the writing.
Yeah.
Like the overall
And it
plot
made $1.4 billion.
Yeah, but I think live action you can't slide as much as an animated movie that a bunch of kids are going to.
And kids aren't as into that into Link. But all right, final question, Nick. What is Nintendo's next movie property? What are they going to next?
Oh boy. They're all up for grabs. I would say Donkey Kong getting his own movie is probably the most likely next candidate since he's already been introduced in the Super Mario Brothers movie. Kirby would be great for another animated movie.
One weirdly I think would be dope, and I don't even know anything about it. Star Fox. I feel like Star Fox.
Yeah,
could,
Star Fox would be
cool.
great too.
You already got a cast of characters. Make it space. It's a little different. So yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, Star Fox would be great too. Yeah, I think any of those three would be key for. But it's all on the table. Like we saw this when we were talking about.
Oh,
The
they're all
Last
gonna
of
get
Us.
them. They're all getting them.
Yeah, we saw this with The Last of Us when Craig Mazin was talking about Sony's just offering directors and producers IPs and going, what do you want to do? What do you want to work with?
Yep.
And same here with Nintendo. It's all going to be out there. Like it's funny that it was Microsoft that kind of wanted the big push into TV first. And, we did get the Halo TV show, but been kind of quiet since then. And then
It's because they don't have the IP.
True. That Nintendo and Sony are just, it's all out there. So
Yep.
I'm excited to see more. And yeah, this is like I said, one of those announcements you never thought you'd hear, but here we are.
Hey, Nintendo, give me a rated R Metroid movie, you cowards. All right.
Yeah. All
On
right.
to the big news of the day.
Yeah. So the Game Awards are coming December 7th. They'll be here, and as you listened on episode 26, where we gave our live reaction to it immediately after it, we really like the Game Awards. I personally have always loved the Game Awards. It's around my birthday, and it's always been just, obviously it comes through in the podcast. John and I love video games, so why not a celebration of video games where the video games we love get recognized, as we saw with Christopher Judge and God of War and Elden Ring winning Game of the Year last year.
12-minute speech.
Yep, and as well as getting all the cool announcements, as we saw with Hades 2, Judas, Death Stranding, and other games like that. Is like it's just a culmination of everything, and then you apply like a live orchestra, the voice actors. It's just the love fest for video games. So obviously, me and John are all about it. But today, as we're recording, November 13th, the nominees for the Game Awards are released. And just like last year, we're not going to go through all 30 different categories. We handpicked 6 of them to talk about and to kind of get our predictions. So the first one I wanted to start out with is Best Adaptation. And this is, again, a video game that is turned into a media property. And the nominees are Castlevania Nocturne, the animated series on Netflix, the Gran Turismo movie, which John and I haven't seen yet.
Nope.
The Last of Us TV show, which you know we've seen that. The Super Mario Brothers movie, and Twisted Metal. Most of these categories are 6 nominees, but a few of them are 5. So I think we can get through this one really quick.
I mean, I in my opinion, this should be the most open and shut award in the show. Last of Us obviously being the winner here, but I could see Castlevania Nocturne having a little bit of a push just based on relevancy, like in terms of it came out recently, got a lot of positive reviews, but Mario would probably honestly be the actual second place one just based on people vote for these as well as critics. So you might get being a popularity contest and Mario comes out on top. It's possible, Nick. Brace yourself for it now.
I'll cry.
But by all accounts, in terms of quality and adaptation and getting the feeling of the property to come across in a different medium, it's Last of Us 100%. You can't compete with HBO.
Yeah, exactly. That should be the winner, and obviously my prediction as well. We'll move on to Most Anticipated. So this is a game that is announced. Jeff Keighley was very poignant about saying that because you can't say Grand Theft Auto 6 because technically it's not announced.
Right.
So for Most Anticipated, so this is a game coming out next year. They have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Hades 2, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Tekken 8, and Star Wars Outlaws. This is kind of a tough one, but I think that the winner is obvious. But
it's Hades 2 because everybody else is because people understand good quality games.
Oh, okay. Okay, so if you're gonna place actual money, you're gonna put $100.
No, of course not. No, it's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, of course.
Yes, it is.
But it should be Hades 2.
Yes, it's John's number one, of course. But that's an interesting list. A lot of those games are coming out in the first 3 months. First 2 months for Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, and Tekken 8 will be out in January, and then Rebirth in February, and then the rest, who knows?
Yeah, kind of paints the year, doesn't it?
Yeah, a lot of unknowns, which is why the Game Awards is kind of hyped this year. Yeah. But yep, I'm with you. Rebirth is the winner there, and then we'll move on to Best Indie. We have Cocoon from Geometric Interactive, Dave the Diver from Mint Rocket, Dredge from Black Salt Games, Sea of Stars from Sabotage Studios, and Viewfinder for Saw Old Studios. Now, John and I obviously have not played all of these games, but a lot of these games are sitting in the kind of the same area as far as open critic reviews, all that upper 80s. But what do you think? This is a tough one.
I think Sea of Stars gets it pretty easily. Again, just based on the user vote. By far the most played game on that list.
Yeah, the most accessible, both on Xbox Game Pass
it's
and PlayStation
everywhere.
Plus Extra.
It was the only game out of that list, I think, that was a genuine conversation about it. And there's a lot of people even saying that it should have been possibly been nominated for Game of the Year, which, sorry, spoilers, it's not. So I think Sea of Stars takes it. Although Dave the Diver, as I said last week, is fucking awesome.
Yeah, Dave the Diver is technically the best reviewed game here. So,
yeah.
Anything's up. But I agree with you. Sea of Stars, more people have played it.
And it's just the spot to recognize it. It's, like Dave the Diver, again, is great, but I don't think there's just something about it doesn't feel like it needs to be recognized. Sea of Stars feels like it needs to be recognized. With a long built-up Kickstarter campaign and the anticipation for it and all that good stuff all combined together, I think they give it to give it a little shine.
Sure. Yeah, I think Sea of Stars is for sure the winner there. We'll move on to Best Score and Music. We didn't cover this last year, but, John and I love good video game scores, so we're going to talk about it. The nominees are Alan Wake 2 by Petri Alanko, Baldur's Gate 3 by Borislav Slavov, Final Fantasy 16 by Masayoshi Soken, Hi-Fi Rush from Shuichi Kobori, and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom from Nintendo Sound Team. This is going to be hard.
It is. Immediately I'm like, oh, Final Fantasy 16. Like that's what I immediately go to. The Soken system is fucking awesome. I talked about how much the music and those boss fights impacted it. But I just started playing Tears of the Kingdom, and man, that music is really good. And that's not to discount Hi-Fi Rush, which is a game based around music.
Right.
So, we're predicting, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to say Final Fantasy 16 takes it, but I'm not very confident in that.
Okay. Yeah, I think if you're looking at these, it probably is Final Fantasy 16 and Legend of Zelda. I think Legend of Zelda will probably win more awards in other categories, so maybe this is the spot Final Fantasy 16 gets recognized.
Yeah.
But this is tough. But I'm with you. Final Fantasy 16 is the best one in that list, in my opinion.
Yeah,
so.
release the soundtrack, you cowards. What
Yeah,
are you doing?
exactly. I don't want the same 5 songs on
Yeah.
Spotify anymore.
The game came out 5 months ago.
All right, moving on. We have Best Performance. We have Ben Starr as Clive Rossfield from Final Fantasy 16. We have Cameron Monaghan as Cal Kestis from Star Wars Jedi Survivor. We have Idris Elba as Solomon Reed in Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. Melanie LeBird as Saga Anderson in Alan Wake 2. Neil Newbin as Asterion in Baldur's Gate 3. And our boy Yuri Lowenthal as Peter Parker in Spider-Man 2. Again, another category that is almost impossible to predict. The Golden Joystick Awards occurred over the weekend. That's a fan-voted thing, which Ben Starr and Neil Newbin won. So, hard to say here.
It is hard to say. I'm gonna honestly put my money on Idris Elba.
Yeah?
Based on notoriety, recognition.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know the breakdown, but I think it's half-half in terms of the weightedness of the votes. So I remember when like Mads Mikkelsen won for Death Stranding. I just feel like these type of people, these celebrities, they just have a little bit more going for them. I personally think Ben Starr was probably the best of the year, followed by Yuri, but Idris is always great. I'm sure he was great.
And I will not count out Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, that's the other one too.
One of the biggest games of the year.
Mm-hmm. And that guy's gotten a lot of recognition the whole year.
Yep.
Is he the white-haired guy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Vampire. Yep. There's not someone. Any of these people could win, and I'd be very happy.
Yeah,
they all deserve it.
You got to slap it down on the table, Nick. Who is it?
It's gonna be Neil for Baldur's Gate 3. I just have a feeling that game's popularity.
Yeah, it's gonna sweep these awards.
Yeah. All right, so that gets us to Game of the Year. Now, John and I both predicted our 6. Did we predict correctly?
No. 5 out of 6 ain't bad. As Meatloaf would say, 5 out of 6
Spoilers,
ain't
John.
bad.
Spoilers. So but
which one?
We did get Super Mario Brothers Wonder, Baldur's Gate 3, Alan Wake 2, Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, Spider-Man 2, and Resident Evil 4. Somehow.
I'm not shocked.
No.
Biggest thing obviously being a remake. I don't think people knew how voters would treat that, and with the amazingness of this year, thought that Final Fantasy 16 would have snuck in there. As we talked about on the show before, I feel like you could have put 15 different games in that list, and it would have been fine.
Yep. Resident Evil 2 remake was also nominated for Game of the Year. So
that's a good point. And, but I think just some of the big takeaways is just how well Alan Wake 2 did in these awards.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you'll get there.
Yeah, we can get to the breakdown there. So we're good with those 6. Like I think you said, like Resident Evil 4 was your number 7.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was your initial. So you were correct on that. But if you wanted to break down about how many nominations, again, there were 30 total categories, and we just covered 6. But Alan Wake 2 and Baldur's Gate lead with 8 nominations each.
Crazy.
Spider-Man 2 with 7. Tears of the Kingdom, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, Hi-Fi Rush at 5. Final Fantasy 16 and Cyberpunk 2077 at 4. Resident Evil 4 and Street Fighter 6 at 3. Star Wars Jedi Survivor and Lies of P at 2 each. And the other big releases, Starfield and Armored Core 6, each only got 1 nomination.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, lot to take away there. Starfield, it hurts. When, as we talked about, thinking that this is the biggest pop that Microsoft might have for the entire generation, and just to get 1 RPG nomination feels kind of bad. I'm sure it does. I'm sure Todd Howard is not happy. right now. But
yeah, best narration is one of the categories. You know, it's just this is not great, but the caveat is, like we said about Starfield, is it released between Baldur's Gate 3 and Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, Cyberpunk 2.0. That, you know, again, any other year it would have been one of them. It would have had more nominations. But I think when you have two RPGs, one genre defining in Baldur's Gate 3, and then Phantom Liberty and Cyberpunk 2.0 doing everything Starfield is doing, but better,
right,
as far as storytelling, animation, as we've talked about, you know.
Yeah, it's exactly what The Witcher 3 did to Fallout 4. You know, Bethesda's
or Dragon Age Inquisition. That's the what it did to Dragon Age Inquisition for me is Witcher 3 just blew it out of the water.
Oh yeah,
that game's trash compared to Witcher 3.
Oh, absolutely, dude. But so is Fallout. I mean, I think Fallout came out a couple months after Witcher 3, and it's just like, dude, you guys got outclassed. You got lapped. You know,
right.
you developed this in a vacuum, and you didn't realize what everybody else was doing out here. And, you know, we've kind of looked past you a little bit.
And as we've said on the very first episode of the show, this was everything we were worried about with Starfield kind of came true, and it kind of shows here. It's like Bethesda, with whatever their next game is, if it's Elder Scrolls 6 or Fallout 5, whatever they're doing, like the whole engine needs to be redone. They have to be. Are they going to just, again, they're going to be even further behind. They cannot.
Or they just don't care, and they're like, we made fucking millions anyway. I mean, maybe. You know, if you're just in the game of making money.
True.
Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be, doesn't
That's
matter.
true.
You know,
That's
it doesn't
true.
matter, but.
That's true, but I think
It just feels bad.
the critical eye is more on Bethesda more than ever, and I think Starfield will be their pass, and then going forward, they better bring it. They better be the studio that we know they are for, and most likely Todd Howard won't be there anyway.
True.
So, you know, whoever takes it over, I get some new blood in there. Hopefully that'll change things. But yeah, Bethesda's got their, you know, they're gonna launch Elder Scrolls 6 against Witcher 4 or whatever other games are gonna be out then, and good luck.
Breath of the Wild 3. yeah. So I mean, big takeaways. Obviously, Starfield. I think Zelda kind of not being at the top of the nominations list is a little surprising. You know, just with how dominant Breath of the Wild was, but you know, Alan Wake getting 8 is awesome. Congrats to Remedy.
Yeah, I think their release timing helped a lot.
It did, and they fucking killed it. You know, they released a really solid game. But no, I think what we're gonna find out is that Baldur's Gate 3 is gonna in fact curb stomp everybody. They will. That was the true sense of what the game of the year is. Not only the best game, but also just like what game, when you think back on this year, like just what is the game you think of? And I don't think anybody thinks of Tears of the Kingdom anymore, really. It's you look back at the year and you think Baldur's Gate 3, that, like you said, it was genre defining for what it was. The review score is out of this world. And it just deserves all the shit, the awards it's going to get, I'm sure.
Well,
even though I haven't played it.
Don't ever count Nintendo out. But I'm with you. I'd be disappointed. Like Breath of the Wild has already been recognized as Game of the Year. It is really Larian's time to shine. They did something never thought possible, you know, with a game, with how intricate the story is and what you could do with it, and what's possible. Not that that's kind of Tears of the Kingdom's MO with all the stuff you can do in that game.
Dude, I mean, as I said, I'm just jumping back into it. Like, God, this game really is just it's just a wonder in terms of physics.
Yeah.
Save that for another time.
So yeah, we'll see again December 7th. You know, we'll find out who wins and see if we're right. But let's get away from the nominees because, again, as I mentioned, the Game Awards is also about its announcements and its world premieres that they love to talk about. So let's get into that. Let's kind of, again, put our prediction hats on. You know, last year John said Microsoft had to have a big presence, and they didn't. They didn't show up at all.
Man, you better not say the same thing this year.
Yeah, no, they need to bring it. So let's cover it. First thing I wanted to talk about as far as Game Award predictions is the first few months of 2024 are stacked. There's a lot of games. I have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League, Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth, Alone in the Dark, Tekken 8, Helldivers 2, Princess Peach Showtime. Do any of these games show up? Now, Final Fantasy VII has been at Keighley events. Suicide Squad was at the Game Awards last year. Is there any chance that any of these games get a presence here?
Yeah, I think probably multiple games, honestly. I mean, the history of these shows are rife with people getting their wildest expectations and then kind of being let down a little bit because a lot of these trailers, I think, will be existing properties. And just like, I think we'll get the final trailer for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I think that would probably be there. It's just, you're going to get one more. Makes sense time-wise. You're never going to have more eyeballs on you. So I could see definitely like a Final Fantasy VII. I could definitely see another Suicide Squad. They need to show us if they've revamped, or are they revamping anything. I don't think people are going to give a fuck if they're like, "Hey guys, we're doing a direct presentation about Suicide Squad." Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, so you got to kind of maybe show off there, but I think we'll get 2, maybe even 3 of those. I could see all of them there.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think it's all these games have a very likely chance to show up there. All right, so let's move on to our bread and butter. Let's go with PlayStation first. John, what do you have as far as PlayStation predictions? And let's see if we can get some boondoggles going here.
So I still don't think Sony really likes to be at these shows. I think they like to beat at their own drum, but they need to talk.
It was just Burning Shores last year. It was like the only big announcement from Sony.
Yeah, so I don't think they're going to have a big presence, but I think they might have a pop. There's been rumors the past couple days that Wolverine is in fact listed as a 2024 game, which blows my mind. We need to see it. Does Sony save that for just some big, we're going to blow it out for the first time? Or do they say, hey, people know it exists. We need to get out in front of next year, show something, get people excited for PlayStation. Christmas is around the corner. We need to have a reason to keep going. I just can't believe it's Insomniac again.
I don't think it is. I don't buy that rumor one bit. And I think it's too early to talk about your next Marvel game. Like, Spider-Man is just barely off the shelves. They don't have anything else said, and I don't think they're going to show off a brand new IP or a new property at the Game Awards. I think they save all that kind of stuff for them, for their own shows. So what else do you have? You could, Helldivers 2. Like I bet Helldivers 2 probably will be there. But if Sony is going to show up, they don't really have a whole lot they can pull from, unless if they just surprise us all and show something brand new. But you could show Uncharted. You could show. You might be able to show that, or if Factions somehow has some sort of revitalization type thing. So
is that what you think?
So the Uncharted game is one of mine. Like, I think, again, they teased it earlier this year, back in January. What's happening there, and what is going on with Sony Bend? For the love of God, what is their next game? Mm-hmm. But you did mention Factions. Is it time for a Last of Us Part 2 PS5 edition with a multiplayer mode tacked onto it?
If they've course corrected and decided that they're going to put Factions into a non-live service type setup, then perhaps that's the only. Because I did think of that too. I thought of now is the time for The Last of Us 2, but I think you partner that up with whatever Factions is. Let me take a step back. So Factions is so interesting because. The project seemingly got put on ice because Bungie went in and said it's not sticky enough, right? Like, it's not going to be able to retain players. But,
so we're told. But
there's no fucking way that what Naughty Dog has made is bad. Like, it's going to be a solid game. So what does Sony do? Does Sony take the WB David Zaslav approach and just throw it away to get a tax write-off? I don't think so. I think they figure out a way to let their A-team show off what they've done. So it would make sense if they say we're going to tone it back, kind of go back into just partner it up with Last of Us Part 2, and here you go.
$70.
$70. That's possible. I think the one thing I feel pretty confident is that Sony doesn't like to show off new things. So I don't think you'll see Sony Bend there. I don't think you get to see that type of stuff.
Okay.
But maybe.
Well, one guarantee, and it's not technically PlayStation, that Death Stranding 2 will be there. So
Yes, that is the most slam dunk possible thing to
But
say.
I'm going to loop them in with PlayStation because, it's been a PlayStation exclusive franchise. So so that is definitely happening.
Does Kojima show up and
Yeah, Kojima and maybe either an actor from it is definitely going to be there and on stage.
Elle Fanning?
Yeah, probably.
Probably her.
Yeah, because we have not seen her in the game yet.
Yeah.
So and it'll be confusing as fuck. I can guarantee you
of
that.
course.
Yeah, so the only other thing that I have is, these rumors of this God of War half step, have been showing up. This would be a good time to announce it.
That is probably the game that I think I could see Sony being okay with enough to show there.
Yeah.
Being that it's a half step, it's not, we don't know anything about it. It might not even exist, but if it does, I would think it's an Atreus game. It's
Right.
going to inherently get people a little less excited, but there's going to be the uber nerds like us that can't wait. So.
I think it all depends on release dates for a lot of this. I think if one of these games is planned on being out in the next 6 months in 2024, like the first half of 2024, and they're comfortable putting a release date on it, sure. But if they're not comfortable with that, then it will not show up at all. And then I said that was my last thing, but I forgot another one. Where the fuck is PSVR 2? Are we gonna get any game involving PSVR?
No, I don't, dude. First off, I'm very happy I didn't buy one of those, but I just don't understand. I don't understand the half measures to that product.
Not one big fall game.
Not one big fall. They don't even talk about it, man. Like
Right.
Synapse, cool, I guess, but we have a guy that we work with who owns one. I have a friend of the show, Will, has one. And I know he's found enjoyment in it, but it's just not enough.
Yeah, it's definitely a topic for 2024 is how Sony rights this ship and
Or when do they kill it?
Yeah. The answer is games. They
Yeah.
need games. So maybe PSVR 2 will get at least one game. It might not be a big game, but I imagine at least one title.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying to still talk about because I've been talking about it since this thing was announced. But I feel like there's one way to get people to just right the ship, and it's Half-Life Alyx.
Right.
Or you're like, hey, we made an Uncharted game that is like what? Like it's fully playable. It can't be a Horizon climbing simulator again. You can't do that. And it's just so weird. I see these games that do get announced for VR2, and it's still the graphics still look that childish looking, straight edges, bright colors look to it that I was hoping this was going to start moving us away from. But I don't know. Maybe the tech is just harder and slower to develop than traditional gaming. I don't know.
And who wants to invest in
it's
a game that's only going to sell X amount of copies? How many people have a PlayStation 5 and a PSVR 2 on top of it?
I know Valve making $1,000 machine that they lock to one. Like it's to lock that game to is just bananas. Talk about fuck you money.
All right. So, yeah, it'll be very interesting from the Sony side of things if they have anything at all, but I'm sure we'll see at least a game.
Yeah, they'll have a small presence.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Nintendo. As we've talked about before, we do not believe the Nintendo Switch 2, much to John's prediction at the beginning of the year, will be announced this year, and the Game Awards will not have it at all. So I kind of have, again, for Nintendo, who also had a muted presence last year at the Game Awards, are going to be very light right now, and it's going to be, if Princess Peach Showtime is probably one that can very likely be there, but you're probably going to get some DLC announcements. I know we have Splatoon 3 DLC on the way that hasn't come out yet, but also, Super Mario Brothers Wonder and Tears of the... Well, no, they said no DLC for Tears of the Kingdom, didn't they? Mm-hmm. So probably, Splatoon 3, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, and Princess Peach Showtime are your most likely candidates, and then it's mum's the word.
Yeah. I mean, the only other thing that's announced, you got Metroid Prime 4, of course.
And just HD remakes.
Yeah, an HD remake. So, yeah, I agree. I have Quiet from Nintendo as well. Yeah. Speaking of companies that can beat at their own drums, they don't care.
Yeah,
they're gonna let Mario Wonder carry them. For a bit.
Yeah, Nintendo Switch 2 is until they announce it. Don't expect anything big from Nintendo. And that moves us on to Xbox. As we mentioned, we're absent from the Game Awards last year entirely. Not a single game announcement. nothing. A month later, they did go and announce Hi-Fi Rush and all that stuff. They did their kind of like, little direct, Xbox Direct. But what do we got from Microsoft? What do we got?
Yeah, I mean, so much, I would think, and that's what's so confusing about this. I believe it was Matt Booty came out and said a couple days ago that they're finally kind of have their cards lined up to have 4 major AAA releases a year, which I'll believe it when I see it when those guys talk. Yeah. But we need a date for Hellblade. We need probably a new trailer and a window for Avowed. We need some more information about Fable. I mean, there's so many things out there that I could Perfect Dark, Indiana Jones, Contraband. But there's got to be something. And so I'm feeling Hellblade there, and I'm feeling Avowed there. Those are my 2 that I think we'll see. I think Hellblade is going to get hit with a date, and Avowed with a date window. Something like that.
I think very similar to PlayStation is how close are these games?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
that's going to determine everything.
As you could see with the most excited, anticipated game, right? Yeah, not everything is in the first couple months. Nobody anymore. I've been saying this for a while. Nobody wants to announce games for far on the past. I think Cyberpunk killed that for everybody.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, but Sony, does that second party output with Final Fantasy Rebirth and Helldivers 2. Like earlier next year, Sony's kind of got that Q1 kind of locked in as far as big titles only on our platform, console platform. But Xbox doesn't have that and needs it. So I'm curious, as to which game. Like, an early release date for Hellblade would be great, like a January, February, March release date for that game. So it kind of gets, it's AAA. I'll put in quotes because it's kind of, Ninja Theory doesn't do really big games, but from that demo we saw a couple of years ago, it looked really big. So hopefully that game is ready to go and Xbox can put a little bit of marketing on this one, and it can find a release window where it can get some eyes on it because it looks interesting.
Yeah, I really liked the first one. I mean, it was one of the more unique experiences ever. My biggest question with the sequel is do they try to get a little bit more fleshed out with the combat? Because it was a very much, I would almost argue it was more walking simulator than anything. It was about the headphones and the voices in your head, and all that stuff was amazingly well done. But the combat was one of the most basic combat systems I've ever seen. So if you can marry the narrative and mental side of that game with a cool combat system, you got something really special. And I don't know if they can do it, but I'll be curious. That'll be one that I'll be curious to check out on Game Pass, I think, when it comes.
Yeah. So the only other note I really have here is Starfield is going to get some DLC.
Yeah, Fallout 4 got DLC, right?
Yes, it had several DLCs.
So every Bethesda game's gotten DLC, and these are games that are designed around DLC. I mean, you add a couple planets, you add a couple side quests, a couple missions, some really big ship that you can go explore or something.
Yep.
It's easy in quotes. I know it's not easy to develop games, but I think that's.
And you get the game for free anyway with Game Pass, so then
That's true. They've already announced there is a season pass.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, that was part of the pre-order bonus for the game. Because there's a lot of people that were wanting to do that play it early thing.
Right.
And I think a lot of people were okay with it because it was $30, but with that $30, you got the first set of DLC. So I think it's already confirmed.
Yeah. So, I'd say that's pretty much a lock that Starfield DLC will be shown off.
Unless if Tahoe was mad that they didn't get nominated. No, we're not going to show you.
It's very, very possible.
Starfield Shattered Space is what it's called.
All right, we'll move into the third parties. This is also a kind of a Wild West, as so many games are announced right now from third parties as well that really anything can show up here. The only thing I got as a lock is that Elden Ring DLC. Where the fuck is that?
I didn't even think about that. Now I got so excited. Yeah. That'll definitely be there.
But will we see more of returning games from last year that haven't gotten updates since? Judas, Hades 2.
I don't think you'll see Judas. I think that one's way far off. I do have here, I think we'll get a Hades 2 early access date. That I think they're going to follow that same playbook that they did with the first one. It worked really well for them, allowed them to release obviously an incredible incredibly polished game. So I could see them, showing up, be like, hey, early access Hades starts in the spring with a hopeful release date later that year or something. And the only other thing I have that I think would make sense is Star Wars Outlaws to get another glut of information, whether it's a window, a date. We got a huge gameplay demo from them when it first came out, so I don't know if we need more of that, but maybe some sort of narrative trailer, because there really isn't much of a story as far as I understand.
Yeah, we don't really know much.
So maybe a story trailer with a time frame I could see.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Especially because Avatar, Avatar is gonna probably be there in some way because it's gonna have just come out, and I think Keighley typically likes to show just a quick hey, this is.
And the Game Award is paid by ads, and they'll pay for an ad.
So Ubisoft will already be on the hook, so why not throw that on there? So
yeah, I lost my train of thought. I had another game in my brain, and now it's gone. It's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
And it's gone. I can't think of what I was going to think about, but
Fable? Oh.
No. I think that game's way far off. So, no, I think that's it. It's going to be crazy, whatever it is.
Yeah. And I think we're going to have probably a couple big pops, but I feel like all of these Keighley shows typically do have trailers for existing things. And so I hope we get a good amount of trailers for things we don't know, but I don't know how many there'll be. I don't know. It's just my gut telling me that, I don't know if it's just years and years of getting disappointed with showcases and just trying to reverse that and then be pleasantly surprised. But I don't know. It's just you feel it with the way that these companies like to announce their shit now, where it's just until we know a date, we're not going to show you. Right. So that inherently just lets us have more trailers of things we know about. But either way, it's going to be a banger of a show. Like Nick said in the beginning of this whole conversation, it's great to see the industry we love more than probably any other industry, the people that are involved in the industry, get the recognition and have a night that the internet is talking about that, as opposed to all the horrible things that are happening in this world, or something that's stupid.
Right.
Right. Everything always is.
And I remembered what it was. It was Silk Song again.
Oh.
So, as you're listening to this, Nintendo Indie Direct will have already released, so maybe it showed up there. But it's kind of the other white whale of video games. I know John is a big Hades 2 fan, but Silk Song is probably also up there. So if you anything else
known properties, it's probably number 2.
If anything else would get with John to squeal like a little girl, Silk Song is up there. So, but I think it'll be great. I think next year again we'll continue with a lot of big releases, just like this year did. And I think that because we just don't know, as we talked about in our predictions, as we talked about when we talked about the next big game from these publishers, we know nothing. So.
Just two guys with a dream.
Yeah, Xbox needs release dates. PlayStation, Nintendo need to start announcing things, and we'll be all good. But again, it'll be a fun night. John and I haven't really figured out how we're going to cover it. We will very, very likely record a show about it, but I don't know. Maybe we'll do more than that, but nothing to promise here. Just know that you'll hear our live reactions, our instant live reactions at some point, either the day after or that night if we're feeling really brave. But
yeah, Nick and I just know we need to make sure we start watching it together, because when they announced Hades 2 last year and we weren't on the phone together, I think it kind of bummed us both out. Because I've never been, ever since Nick and I have really known each other, we've missed the big moments. We didn't watch the Wolverine reveal together. We didn't, which was like a banger of a showcase anyway. We saw Ragnarok announced together, which was good, but wasn't together for Hades 2. So
yeah, but that Ragnarok announcement was just okay.
It was also it was just a date.
So again, get excited. Keighley will start teasing, so we'll kind of update you as we know of trailers that will be there. Let's get hyped.
All right, you ready to go to battle?
Battle? Let's go to battle. We have some work to do here, because Batman did win. He beat Donatello, thankfully.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
Cuphead and Richter Belmont tied, John.
All right. people. You think a little 2-foot cup can? All right, whatever. That's fine. It's fine. So what we flipped a coin last time, right?
What's up?
We flipped a digital virtual coin last time.
Yeah, we did. We did. Hang on. I'm sorry. I'm live checking our email for any last minute votes. Nope, no votes. But we did get an email. Well, we'll maybe read that at the end here.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll just go heads. Heads is Cuphead.
Richter Belmont wins. Tails is.
Hey, that was my chance to tie you.
Yeah, it was. But be honest, Richter would win that fight, so it's fair.
It's true. I had no horse in that race anyway.
Yeah,
so.
no.
So there you go. Batman and Richter Belmont move on.
Perfect.
All right, who went first last time? Do you remember?
I think I did, but I have also no idea.
I think you did.
All right. So would you rather
Yes, you
do?
did. You
So
did go-
this
or-
week we have.
No, I went first
Oh, you did?
because I mentioned. Oh no, I don't. No,
Listen, this is your superpower you're doing again. Nick's superpower is to be just confident about whatever, and then go,
no.
oh, I guess I was wrong.
I went first, then you went first. No, because I did Batman first last week. I did Batman first.
Okay.
So yeah, so you're first this week.
Okay. All right. So we have Link versus Mega Man and Joker from Persona 5 versus Donkey Kong.
Yes.
Who do I want first? Let's do Link.
Okay.
Let's do Link. All right. I think a lot can be said about these matchups when you look at the characters, villains, and how badass they are, right? And so we look at Dr. Wily from Mega Man, who's this mustachioed-looking weirdo, versus Ganondorf, who's just this mega, huge, crazy, badass-looking guy who can change into smoke monsters and all sorts of things. Link has to take him on. So I think it's obvious that he's the stronger character. He is a master swordsman. He can employ the Master Sword, which is, I don't know, probably the strongest sword in existence. He has a plethora of abilities and skills and gadgets that he can employ if Mega Man is going to shoot at him with his little blaster beams, because let's be honest, that's what Mega Man has. He's got, different variations of guns that he can use, which is cool, but one word for you, Nick: mirror shield. Link puts on that mirror shield, he can shoot his Mega Blaster at him all day long. It's not going to matter. It's just going to come right back at him. And then let's talk about how big Mega Man is. 4'4". He's a little metal guy, but, he still is pretty small. And have you played him in Super Smash Brothers, Nick? He sucks. He got little leaves that go around him. Link's got 3 characters in that game. He's way better. Cool.
All right.
Damn it. I wanted to use my joke about Green Bean Man and Boner Man and Mud Man and all these other robot man. Maybe if Mega Man wins.
All right.
Oh, right, timer. Sabotage. All right.
All right. You mentioned that Mega Man has to fight Dr. Wily. It's not just Dr. Wily. Dr. Wily is in a bunch of crazy robots. He's never fighting him just by himself. Look at the crazy final bosses of Mega Man. They're insane. Mega Man does have that Super Smash Brothers cred. He's fought every version of Link. There are 3 Links in Super Smash Brothers Ultimate and only 1 Mega Man. So he's got experience against all of them. He has experience over 50 titles across multiple platforms. He's got access to power sliding. He's got access to wall jumping. He's got the Mega Busters. He has one of the best companions of all time, Rush, who transforms into armor, jetpack, springboard, submarine. Link has Navi. Navi is there to annoy him. The ability to absorb the abilities of Robot Masters when he defeats them is Mega Man's ace in the hole. He has currently absorbed over 86 Robot Masters in the main line, Mega Man 1 through 11. He is a master of combat. He has fought every boss on the planet. He will beat Link.
Every boss on the
His planet.
Epona, not Navi. Epona. All right. Let's get it real.
That's true. That's true.
All right.
That's true.
And then we got Joker from Persona 5 versus Donkey Kong. All right, Nick, doing my research for Joker made me realize he might be like a dark horse to win this whole thing, right? He is a master of so many different aspects of combat, whether it's putting the ridiculous amount of buffs on him so that you can't physically attack him, you can't elementally attack him, you can't really do anything against him. He can heal himself, right, which Donkey Kong can't do. He can just use some magic to, whoop, I got all my health back. He is a master of personas, right? You know what that is. You can summon 225 different persona abilities that are able to act independently of what he is doing. So boom, it's immediately a 2-on-1. Not to mention the final boss that Joker has to go up against, which is Yaldabaoth, which is basically a literal god. In Donkey Kong, his list of attacks are jumping, rolling, punching. Like, it's not necessarily the biggest gamut of things you need to defend against. He's fighting beavers, bees, crocs, anything in the animal kingdom. What I will give him is that he fights an enemy of a squid that's called a squidge, and I think that's hilarious. That's all I got.
All right. All right. All right. You mentioned Joker has all these abilities, but it does have this weird caveat. He has to be in a Mind Palace or the Mementos dungeon to be able to use them. Other than that, he's just a high schooler that gets beat up. So when you talk about Donkey Kong, who is a gorilla, he has the strength and acrobats of a gorilla against a high school student. Well, the winner, it speaks for itself. All those animals you mentioned, Donkey Kong rides them too. That's pretty wild. And again, these two characters have faced off in Smash Bros. Every character in this match, in today's matchups, has faced off in Smash Bros. So they have fought each other. He has the second largest punch after Captain Falcon in the world. And finally, he does have access to barrel abilities and barrel weaponry, which I can't explain the engineering behind a barrel weapon or a barrel jetpack, but he has access to it. So sorry, Joker. Unless you're in the Mind Palace, you're done.
Good defense. All right. Sue, be sure to vote. I think Batman and Donatello only had one vote this week, right?
I don't want to reveal those statistics.
Okay, well, we need your help is all we're
Yes.
saying. So, whether we get votes or no votes, we'll figure it out. We'll push it forward, but it makes it a lot more fun, when we get more input. So, please make sure you vote. Nick will put that Twitter feed up there for us.
Yep.
And then we need to figure out next week's matchups.
Yes.
All
Yes,
right.
we do.
You want first or second?
I'll go first.
All right. No, I already did Mega Man. Whoops. Again.
Ay, ay, ay.
Ratchet.
Ooh.
From Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, I like that.
He's got a pretty good arsenal. That guy does.
He ups his arsenal.
Oh, he does. And then for me, versus Commander Shepard. It's too bad Jack was number 2. I was almost Ratchet versus Jack. All right, Commander Shepard versus Alombax. And then for his matchup number 2.
Kind of unfair. Shepard has experience against aliens.
That's fair. That's true. Clive Rossfield for you.
Oh.
That's a good one.
Okay, yeah.
Versus Commander Shepard. Versus Jin Sakai.
Oh, boy.
Jin
Okay.
Sakai.
Two
Ghost
of Tsushima.
Yep, 2 swordsmen.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Those are some good ones. I like those.
Cool.
Anytime I don't get a Nintendo character, I'm all for it.
So yeah, you got Ratchet and Clive. Yeah, that's two PlayStation boys.
Yeah.
Is it 4? No, 3 PlayStation boys and a multi-plat boy.
Yes. All right. Cool.
We're getting down to it, man. We're sub. I think we're 28, maybe 26 left, something like that. Getting there.
Okay.
Getting there.
All right. So yeah, we're gonna insert a 6th thing because we got an email.
Oh.
It comes from pal of the show, Jesse. He says, just checking in to say your battle royale is awesome. Thank you. And I love hearing you defend your characters like your lives depend on it. I have a game recommendation for you. You briefly talked about it on the show, and I think played the demo, but you got any predictions?
Played the demo.
Yeah.
Hold on. No idea.
We briefly mentioned it today. It's Lies of P.
Oh, okay.
I never finished the demo and wasn't sure if I was going to pick this up. I've owned and played every Soulsborne and Souls-like game, but I've never actually finished one. I always end up bouncing off of them and finding something new. But this one has clicked differently for me. I'm about 20 hours in and just over halfway. So far it's challenging, but not as much as Elden Ring or Sekiro, but it's still satisfying just to finally beat the boss that I've been stuck on. The story is awesome, easy to follow, and has more story beats to it than a normal Souls game, and the characters are interesting. Much like a Souls game, you pick up notes and news articles to piece together what happened in the city of Krat. The soundtrack is awesome too. I think I'll be seeing this game through to the end, and I'm keen to try the other Souls games out and see if I can finish them. I definitely recommend Lies of P to you both if you have time. Hope you're all doing well and look forward to the next episode.
Solid. Yeah, I mean, that speaks to me. That's first off, awesome, Jesse. Thanks for writing in. Glad you're enjoying the game and kind of finding a new genre. That's always a good feeling. Find something that maybe you previously didn't like all that much. No, it's great to hear. There's a guy at work who's been really, really enjoying it, and obviously with the Soulsborne and Bloodborne kind of ties that game has, it has been on my radar for a little bit. So
yeah, it's kind of like the hidden gem of this year as far as AAA releases. It's this studio's like first AAA game like this, and it's found an audience, and people seem to really enjoy it. And they announced DLC and a sequel is coming already, so it has to have done pretty well for them. Across it was on Game Pass day and date, and probably sold pretty well on PC and PlayStation. So.
Yeah, we were talking earlier today about potential Black Friday pickups, and that could definitely be one. So, do you have any interest, or are you pretty much yourself well enough with your Souls?
No, it'd be very hard for me to get into it. But if you, I would leave it to you to tell me that it is something. There's something about it that I would like more. But I've watched people play this game, and it looks more of what I'm not into typically.
Yeah. Well, Jesse, I mean, I've always been curious about this game, and I think your letter might have heightened my urge to play it. So I'll be on the lookout for a sale. I think definitely if it drops to the right price, that's something I want to check out. I'm happy that you finally understand the wonderfulness of beating a boss in a Souls game. There is no better feeling in video games than when you finally do. Beating Millennia and Elden Ring was amazing, best shit ever. So, thanks for writing. I'll probably be looking for it here shortly when I have some time.
Yeah. And that can move us into our teasers for next week.
What's up, Nick?
So there's about to be a character battle royale on this show between me and John. John, can you explain?
I'd win that fight.
Can you explain as to your point? We don't have to get into it, but it'll be coming. So let's tease it.
Yeah. So I finished Hello Kitty Island Adventure.
Nominated for best mobile game.
Yeah, I finished Cyberpunk 2077, and I have some very positive thoughts on it, but also probably more very negative thoughts on it. So I was very scared to tell Nick this early today, and in fact, I waited till the end of the day just to make sure he didn't poison my lunch or poison my coffee or anything like that. But I finished that game and definitely want to talk about what I thought about it.
We're talking about it next week for sure.
Yeah. So, which is exciting because it'll allow for us to have I think a pretty deep conversation on just the things you like, the things I like, the things I don't like that you might be able to defend a little bit. But it's also opened up my gaming ability to get some other things in. So I got Armored Core ready to go, and I got Tears of the Kingdom that I decided I wanted to start because we're almost at the end of the year, and I feel like I should have one of those huge game of the year. If I can't get to Baldur's Gate, I should probably get that. So got a lot of stuff to play, talk about, and full on recap of Cyberpunk. So
yeah. So on my side, I did beat Gotham Knights. That is a 2 out of 5 game. We'll leave it at that. It's not a good game.
A review for the recap. You didn't even.
No, it's not worth talking about.
Yeah.
I've talked about it on the show. It's not a great game. Go play Spider-Man 2, please.
Yeah.
Over that, but again, it's on Extra. It's on Game Pass. You want to check it out, sure. But just know that that's how I feel. As I mentioned, as far as games I'm playing, I got to get back into Baldur's Gate 3, but I'm very intimidated because I've been away from it since late September, since the Glut of Games came out, and I'm in the third act, so I got to relearn everything and play the toughest section of the game.
I feel like you're Jon Snow staring up at the wall going, I got to climb that.
Yeah. So that my plan is to get it done before the end of the year. I don't know when I'll specifically jump back into it, but that's kind of my white whale that I need to get done by the time we start talking about Game of the Year stuff. But that Nintendo Indie Direct, they just announced it as we're recording. It'll be out by the time this podcast is out. So if anything interesting comes from that, we'll talk about that too. Sure. You know, and some indie games do include like Silk Song and Hades 2. And
I low-key get really excited for these Nintendo indie games because to me the Switch is the indie game machine. Like Dave the Diver's perfect on it. So like, you know, those kind of games that you know, maybe have hit PC and haven't migrated their way over to console yet. Yeah, I usually can find one or two in a direct that is like, oh fuck yeah, like let's go. Yeah,
and they must have a decent amount to have a direct right now in the middle of November. So
yeah,
we'll see what comes from that. But yeah, other than that, it's, you know, everyone like catch up on your backlogs. You know, that's what this time is for.
Yeah, my backlog is Tears of the Kingdom, Armored Core, Super Mario Wonder, Alan Wake. I think I know that sounds stupid reading it out like that. Liza P, Baldur's Gate 3. No. But you know, it's the games that I feel like I need to play feels more manageable than it usually does. With Elden Ring getting knocked out this year, Cyberpunk getting knocked out this year, it's making a little bit of progress as a dad of 3 can only do.
Yeah, it seems like you're at least fitting in enough time to complete some of the biggest games of the year. So.
Oh, and also, a slight tease, I can't resist that PlayStation Portal that seems to be coming out here soon. So I might be picking that up, which will let me play more games. So we'll see. I'll have impressions on that, though. I don't know when. Whenever I can either convince my wife to let me buy one or I just can't resist anymore.
Yeah. What is the Christmas situation? Do you guys set a budget for each other?
And we don't even buy each other gifts.
Oh,
we just you know, it's all about the kids.
Sure.
So
3 kids is, you know, enough.
Yes, it is. But I personally, I am one of those guys that have gotten into my adulthood and go, I want to just buy the things I want for myself. If we're going to get each other things, I know you definitely agree with this, but let's do experiences for each other, and then let me just go buy myself a Portal for myself for Christmas, and that's my gift. And I'm happy, you're happy, you don't have to go shop for me, I get what I want, everybody wins.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with that. But, you know, sometimes when you're this close to the holidays, it's like, well, if I don't want it right, if I don't need it right this second, maybe it's like, yeah, you want to buy me something? Here's a $200 PlayStation accessory you can buy me, you know. And
I gotta get those dumb headphones with it too, because no Bluetooth on things, so dumb.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine.
Sorry. It's reviewing pretty well. It reviewed today. We didn't talk about it, but it is people, for its specific use case, it is reviewing very well.
That seems to be the takeaway. It's like, feels great, good piece of tech, limited use case.
Yeah.
Know what you're getting into.
Yeah. So. And you know, we're counting down the days to the Game Awards and a Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer. So life's good.
Life's okay. Life's okay.
Yeah, can't complain.
In these here United States.
All right, so let's go to the song. It's my choice this week, so we're gonna do some Mega Man songs because Mega Man's on the brain. Don't let this influence you, but if it does, I'm not complaining. This is from Mega Man X. It is the Boomer Kuwanger stage. That's his name.
Don't vote
Boomer
for Mega
Kuwanger.
Man, guys. Come on, Boomer Kuwanger. He's got to fight Boomer Kuwanger.
Yeah. This is by Setsuo Yamamoto. Another great song. I had a hard time choosing between all the songs.
I just looked up a picture of Boomer Kuwanger.
Yeah, he's like a beetle.
It looks like Cell from Dragon Ball.
Yeah, he's got a big claw on his head. All the robot masters in Mega Man X are all animal based, and insect based, or fish or whatever. But yeah, they're all animals. Anyway, so that's it. Enjoy the song. We hope you enjoyed this extra special episode because there was just so much to talk about. So we'll be back next week with up to 6 things. Bye, guys.